Ryan and Mike here again, and today we're going to talk about improving the return on investment from banner ads for your advertisers. And Mike, you've been a designer for a long time, and advertisers are always saying, listen, my click-through rates just aren't great on my banner ads. So I thought I'd go to the web and pull some examples of banner ads, good and bad. And if you don't mind, we'll just have you critique them kind of on the fly.
Sure, yeah.
All right, so here's the first example I pulled from a city and regional magazine, and I'm specifically focusing on this one here on the right. What are your thoughts on this Celebrate the Season banner ad?
Well, it's obviously done by a professional designer, but there are a few things about it that you could critique and improve upon. One of them is it's very cluttered. While it stands out from the rest of the site by having that dark background, it's very hard to read the typography. Some lines, even the red one there, you can't even read it. But also, it doesn't have a strong call to action. What is it that the user is supposed to do? There's a date, but you really want to measure it, you need to have them do something. So that's missing.
Yeah, and so being the Christmas season, probably a more effective approach would be to make it green.
Yeah, that's true. And have them go somewhere. So we should have some sort of landing page that they're being sent to so the advertiser can really see the return on their investment.
Indeed. I also wanted to point out on this particular website, they're using this 300 by 300 spot or 300 by 250 spot for Google ad choices that they're serving. And I have found very few city and regional or B2B magazines that actually have enough traffic to benefit from this type of approach. I'd rather see people use this for house ads or for bonus ads in terms of advertiser retention. What do you think?
Well, no, that's a good idea, a way to use up the extra inventory you have without having to have AdWords on there. I don't think I've ever found anyone who's been very successful at monetizing that.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's look at this example. I pulled it because Field & Stream is obviously a big consumer magazine in the market, but you don't have to be Field & Stream to be able to pull off this pretty good banner ad design, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things going on here that make it effective. One, it's a simple call to action. There's not a lot of text. There's a compelling headline, and there's a strong call to action in the form of a button where it says get quote in red. They've also used really nice photography, and even though this is roadblocked, they've varied the photos. So, and additionally, these photos look like they could be a piece of content on this site. It's paired very nicely with the brand promise and the look of Field & Stream magazine.
So in this particular example, this isn't a media site per se, but it's a good example of what you don't want to do if you'd like to get into the business of interstitials or floating ads on the main page. Can you talk about, it seems a little lost to me.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas the other example was a nice marriage of content where it felt like it was part of the website. This is the opposite. It's lost. We can't even see it. So normally you have a darkened background, and maybe there's a technical reason why that's not happening. But the point is that the ad itself, if it's going to lay over like this, you want to make sure it really stands out so that you can see what's meant to be done. In this case, there's a strong call to action, but it's hard to see it.
Yeah, indeed. Well, let me show you what I think is a good example of an interstitial or a kind of a site floating ad. What do you think about this? This is a little website called the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, I suppose they know what they're doing. This is a great example because it really stands out. It's very simple, and there's a nice call to action. It's not overly clever. It's just very straightforward.
Yeah, agreed. So here is a 300 by 600 ad, and I just want to point out a note. The red border is just there in terms of us just showing the ad, so that's not a part of the ad. But I notice there's not a lot of text. Is that a smart design decision?
I think so. I think you're trying to punch through the clutter always with getting your message across, and this is even a visual example of literally you're doing that. This is a portal-like page. It's very busy, and as opposed to the Field & Stream example where you're sort of marrying the brand together with the content, it's hard to do that with a portal like this. So in this case, differentiating yourself with a simple and compelling graphic and a strong call to action is probably the best way to go, and I think that's what makes this more effective.
You know, it's interesting, Mike. I don't see a lot of publishers that are actually using the 300 by 600 size, and I've sold basically all sizes that are available. I would tell those that are watching this video, if you want to get advertisers excited about banner advertising, this is really truly a way to go because it's good size in terms of design. Is it easier to design for that size?
Well, it's a nice big canvas, so yeah, you can do better graphics that have more detail, but still you follow the same principles of contrast and strong call to action. But in this case, I mean, this is a nice design, and most ad servers can handle it, so it should be something that advertisers are selling.
How is that when in a responsive template that's going to pull up after your content? It's still going to fit okay, isn't it?
Yeah, there's various ways to do that, and if you're using any of the standard ad servers like Google's DFP, there are ways for you to change the size based on different screen widths.
Perfect. This is what a lot of people refer to as a site takeover. And I saw your eyes kind of light up a little bit. Maybe it's the colors. I really like this. It's kind of hard to explain to advertisers, but if you show them a visual example, they tend to get very excited. What do you think about this as a design concept?
Well, I think you're right. Showing the advertisers is a great way to sort of guide them as to what kind of choices that would be good for them in terms of their ad spend. But the thing here is these are effective. As far as the advertising dollars, you can get a lot from these ads, but you need to be careful you don't want to have too many. You don't want to saturate your audience with these because it really is, it's their first experience coming to your site, and it's a powerful message, but you don't want it to diminish from your own brand.
Well, one of the things that I've really learned is that in the world of niche, banner ads still continue to work because people aren't just happening by your website.
Right.
What they're doing is they're coming there for a specific reason. I also haven't seen much impact in the world of niche publishing with ad blockers. What have you experienced or seen?
Well, I think it depends on the audience. There's quite a wide gamut between the people that you'll find an audience that uses ad blockers quite a lot and those that don't. In the city and regional space and lifestyle magazines, you find it much less. So it's not as much of an impact now. It hasn't negatively affected the performance of banner ads. In maybe a tech magazine, you'll find that the users are more savvy and tend to install ad blockers. So it really depends on your audience.
That's great. Well, stay tuned. There's more great videos like this and so many more still to come.